I dreaming? Or was it you? It was warm, romantic, and we were alone. Let's talk it over. You can call right now. Just you and me. Nobody else.
$4.99 per minute. Must be 18 or older.
For adults only.
I'm not dreaming. This is just a fantasy. Or is it?
Just what you are.
Welcome to the Cinematic Void Podcast. Cinematic Void is a cult film series that hosts screenings in the Los Angeles area as well as virtually. I'm your host, Jim Branscombe, and joining me as always is...
Hey, it's Nick Vance, Paranoid Futures. You can find Cinematic Void on the World Wide Web at cinematicvoid.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and all major podcast platforms. If you want to support The Void, you can consider joining our Patreon. What's up, Jim? How you been, man? What's going on?
I don't know. It's been... I'd say it's been a strange June so far, don't you think? You've been projecting more.
Dude, it's been, you know what it's been? It's fucking, here's something mundane for you. It's been so fucking cloudy every goddamn day, dude. I'm just waiting for the sun to come out. It's coming out Tuesday. I'm on it.
You're on it?
I'm on the case. The sun will be back out on Tuesday. I'm fucking sick of this shit. But, so that's what's up with June. It's just been a cloudy, gloomy fucking, I don't know, busy.
I mean, I kind of appreciate not having to use air conditioning yet because, like, this time last year, like May, it was like fucking 100 degrees or whatever it was. So it's like, I'm enjoying the temperature. Yeah, I would like to have a little more sunshine, vitamin D, just because, like, it's better for morale. And it's like I, moved from the East Coast to not being this kind of, June gloom bullshit. And here we are, fucking global warming, June gloom here. Guess I'll have to move back to the East Coast because apparently it's fucking like 90 degrees there and it's fucking sunny.
They're just hanging out on the fucking beach over there.
Oh, yeah, man. Shit, man. They're already hitting Ocean City.
Down the ocean.
Baltimore contingent. So I guess some other things were going on. We went to another show.
Yeah, dude. We saw fucking No Pressure, Koyo, Fleshwater. I don't know. Illusion played as well. But I think we probably went for Fleshwater and Koyo and No Pressure. But it's cool to see them. Goddamn, No Pressure was so good. I was just watching videos yesterday.
Of the show?
Oh, man. Yeah. I forget sorry, I can't shout out the person that's putting up the videos. But there's like full, like nice pro videos. But yeah, real sick. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I think it was a great show all around. Like, Fleshwater was good. I mean... They had a kind of, I don't want to say rough start.
They did a rough Bjork cover at the beginning of their set.
And it felt like it...
And it was like, oh man, if the whole set's going to be like this, I'm going to be so bummed. We were so stoked to see them, Yeah. But by this, like as soon as they kicked in with the second song, it's like they were fucking on it.
I think part of it was like, I don't know what was going on. Like they had to sound check.
Just first band. Yeah, right. Like, they sound check, but I guess it's just first band and the sound guy's still asleep. I don't know. Yeah,
because like it definitely, by the second song on, they were fucking great. But it was just like, oh man, I hope not. But we also were like, shit, this place, we thought we were going to miss them because they were supposed to go on like, what was it, like 8 o'clock on the dot or something like or no, 7 or some shit.
Yeah, they posted on their Instagram that they're playing at 7 p.m. every single night on this tour.
And then like we get down there and we get basically down at the venue right at 7. It's like, all right, we can hopefully run. There's a fucking line.
Dude, that line was so fucking long.
That was the longest line I
will never wait in a line that long in my life for anything ever.
No. And like it's like the doors were supposed to be open at 6. I assume they pushed everything back an hour.
Real talk, we almost left. We were so close to fucking leaving in that stupid ass line. Oh my god.
Dude, we were actually contemplating. I was like, all right, I have the tickets. Maybe we can just sell them shits because the show was sold out. And it was just like,
but really, I don't know. I mean, I'm that asshole that always just tries to show up so I can just walk right in the door.
And it never works.
Sometimes you just go like, fuck it. I'm gonna miss the first band so that I can just walk in.
Yeah,
whatever it takes.
But it's never worked for us. Like I think
not lately. It hasn't.
Not lately. We show up fucking late.
You know what our problem is? We like bands that are too big now. I think we've got into mainstream music.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean. The only 2 shows, like, this is the second show I've been to probably this year that I can think of. We saw Cursive and we went to this show. Should talk about some of the other bands, though. But, like, we did go in. We saw Fleshwater.
Koyo were great.
Koyo were great. Like, Koyo was my favorite of the night.
Mhm.
And we can talk a little bit, just what the difference. And I love that No Pressure set. I just felt like maybe they played a couple songs too long. We should shout out the homie Kellen, because Kellen was there.
Yeah.
Getting 6 stage dives.
Yeah, for
As
sure.
we're like fucking leaning on the railing up in the balcony. I think that overall the show was fucking fantastic, top and bottom. And it's been rare that, like, at least for me, maybe for you too, that I've gone to a show where I've been like happy to watch all the bands.
Usually just waiting for the band I want to see, and it's like, come on, just waiting for everybody else to fucking finish.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're supposed to go see Godflesh at the end of the month. I hope there's just a opener that we can.
We're supposed to go see Godflesh, but I bought the tickets and I can't fucking find them in my email because I'm a fucking moron.
You'll fucking find.
I guess I kind of forgot again about it, and I'm not like, I don't know. I mean, sure, I want to go and like I want to hang out, but at the same time, it's like, all right, well, I'm fucking whatever. It's just like I bought tickets for 2 of my friends, and none of us end up going.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, that's true.
It would
Shit.
not be the first time. What else is going on? So last episode we had a cliffhanger where I was talking about like I was gonna have a surgery.
Oh yeah, you didn't die.
Yeah, I didn't die. I didn't have the surgery. I would have died if I had it.
If you saw the bill.
Yeah. Well, so the day before I was supposed to go get this procedure, the facility where the doctor, like, I'll just say, I was getting a vasectomy. We're supposed to. And it's not an expensive procedure. It's like an outpatient procedure. The doctor that I got a referral to was like, oh, I do it at this facility. And like there was a doctor's fee and then there was a facility fee. And the facility fee was like, well, it was going to cost me, with insurance, $5,000.
Do they try to run game on you? That's just free.
And, well, here's the thing about next year. That procedure will be free. So I was like, getting a head start, whatever, paying a couple $100 now would have been fine. I was like, that's fine. But, like, the fact these motherfuckers, like, had the nerve is like, oh, it's $5,000. I was like, I can't afford that. Like, well, we can do financing. I'm like, fuck you. Like, straight up. I ain't paying that. That's like, fucking, I don't have money. I don't have $5,000 or, like, a portion of my paycheck to throw to that. It's like, fuck you. And, like, they sent an estimate. I got the estimate, like, 3 days later after. So I'm glad they called me and told me about it, because if they tried to fucking hand me the bill on the day of the...
They hand you the bill when you wake up. You're fuck.
I mean, I think it would have been that way, because, like, when I went in, like... When I went there the first time, I had to go get a pre-check to see if I was fit to have surgery. And the guy that didn't say anything about any stuff was like, yeah, it just looks like it's a $200 copay. I was like, all right. Like, I had a deposit with it. That was weird because, like, I had to pay the fucking doctor and I had to pay the facility. And it's just like, dude, America fucking healthcare sucks. It's like, for years, I didn't have health insurance. And I was like, I need to get health insurance because I need to get a physical and I want to make sure I don't die anytime soon. And it's just like, now it's like, I feel like I'm pissing away part of my paycheck for something I can't use, other than you get fucking taxed the shit in California if you don't have it. So I don't know. So I'm still alive, didn't have surgery. I have looking at our bullet points. We're gonna save the one that's next to the end, but also had Abel Ferrara in town, American Cinematheque. They had Bellatar and Abel Ferrara at the same time.
Yeah,
which was a fucking crazy weekend. Opening night for Abel Ferrara was Miss 45 and Driller Killer with a live score, and I got to do that Q&A with Joe Diella and Abel Ferrara. I guess it wouldn't really be a Q&A. I got to stand there.
He just kind of I probably ran 5 or 6 Abel films over the past week. And definitely all those Q&As, he's just kind of stalking around on stage, and it's everybody standing up. He's not really getting any questions from the moderator. Yeah, he's just hanging out. He just kind of takes control.
Yeah, and it's a style.
I think that you just being the first night, it was like maybe a shock almost or something.
No,
not shock. But
I knew what I did.
You knew what you're getting yourself into. Okay.
I did prep knowing that it probably was going to go this way, but like the second there, like they pulled off the chairs and had it standing, it's like fuck.
Plus, he had a whole not maybe he didn't, but there's a whole film crew following him around making a documentary about him. Yeah. So it had to contend with that as well.
So I mean, I think some of like that Q&A, like basically everyone got roughed up in these Q&As, just like just by the nature of it. It's like, you know, everyone's like, wow, like everyone's like, you did a good job, and I was like, I didn't really do anything. I asked 2 questions, and he's like, oh, your question's stupid. Let's go to the audience. And he got a
He
bunch.
said stupid.
Yeah. He's like, oh no, he didn't say stupid. The word was boring.
Your question's boring, bro.
Yeah, and then like he asked the audience a question, and you know what dog shit comes back from there.
Oh God. No, well, last night he said to the crowd, he was just like, you know, you don't even have to ask a question. Just speak to me with your heart. It says some shit like that. You know, hit me with your soul, brother.
It is fucking wild. But like, you know, I've had to do Q&As where people don't want to be moderated and they just want someone there to like point to the audience or whatever. And it's like, I get it. It's not fun for me as a moderator. And I'm just going to say that this is no disrespect to Abel Ferrara. Abel Ferrara is going to do Abel Ferrara. That's it. But like, I know, I did think it's funny that Harvey Keitel showed up the day after Bad Lieutenant and stopped by the Arrow and said, hey.
It's so funny. How are you a day late, dude? Are you a whole day late?
I mean, he was never scheduled to come, but like,
That's so sick.
That just made me laugh for a lot of reasons. And speaking of screenings, just this week as we're recording this, I did the screening of the last horror film with Severin Films, and like, goddamn, that was a lot of fun to watch in the theater.
Yeah, I couldn't make it out, but a lot of people said that it was just like really fun.
It was uncut, had all the gore in it, and it's just like, it's wild that they just went to the Cannes Film Festival and shot shit.
That's so
like,
sick.
Like pulling up the premieres and like getting out and like walking through and like no one knows a fucking thing.
I hadn't heard about that until you had told me about it recently. But very, very fucking cool.
And like I forgot Joe Spinell's actual mom was in the movie. Sweet. And like the end scene with him and her, oh my god, like people fucking applauded. Like it is the polar opposite to the In a Glass Cage screening where like people just left with their fucking
heads down quietly.
Yeah, like I can't remember. Did we talk about this on the last podcast?
Man, I cannot remember.
No, we didn't. I don't think we would have.
Yeah, I think it was right. In fact, we recorded maybe a couple days before.
Yeah, so we didn't talk about it, so I can talk about that In Glass Cage screen. Jesus Christ, man. In my intro, I said, like, this is going to be the 3rd time I've ever watched this movie, and it's going to be the last because I wanted to see it on film. And I guess people thought it was being funny, and then, like, the first child murder happened on screen, and, like, I was like, wonder how many people are going to walk off or walk out. Yeah. No one did. And then, like, because you've seen that movie, you know how it just becomes more of a soul crusher, and then just, like, at the very end, people kind of applauded, but, like, it was like it was a funeral fucking dirge out of that theater. Hell yeah. I mean, it was great. It was, you know, I mean, that's what that movie's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you feel like absolute shit. Mm-hmm. Mission accomplished. And one last thing, and this is more discourse, and it's going to lead into an episode we're going to be doing sooner or later, is the French Connection, which we both already knew about this. So I guess it's come out because it's on the Criterion channel currently that the French Connection is edited.
I don't know. Like, do I even want to wade into this fucking discourse, dude? Do I want to dip my toe into this water? I don't.
I mean, you don't have to.
It's funny that you want to talk about this because, like, what's to be fucking said?
I mean, the thing is, it's just like, I guess everyone's like, you know, why is this edited? And like, for those of you who don't know,
I'm actually stunned. I'm stunned that the side. I'm just stunned. I maybe I'm even saying this off the record. I'm just stunned that like the amount of people that are against this. Like the people like I maybe saw 2 people on Twitter be like, "You guys are actually like riding really hard for the N-word right now," like, you know. Well,
I mean that's what comes down. So back in December, I showed this during my like Christmas like action series. And, like, I didn't know anything about it. And, like, for whatever reason, I didn't sit down and watch The French Connection that night. I was still at the theater. I think me and Mike Wanka went and hung out and had a drink or whatever. Because, like, I was going through some shit and, like, you know, just kind of unwinding. And when I came back, there was an angry guy at the theater. Mm-hmm. And couldn't figure, he's like, you showed a censored version of this. I'm like, what are you talking about?
This was, like, the first time. This was in, like...
This was last year.
Like, yeah, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was the day after Christmas I played this. And and like this guy, he's like, this is censored version, and like there's a very famous, I don't want to say famous, but there's a scene in French Connection, if you've seen it pre all this, that like, you know, Popeye Doyle is a racist cop. That's the character. And there's a scene where him and Roy Scheider's character are like talking, and he's like, never trust an N-word. Like, that's the line, because he's racist. And Roy Scheider was like, what happens? He's white. And he's like, never trust anyone. Just like, you know, he's a piece of shit cop.
Yeah.
Like, why do you want to hold a cop to a high standard?
Right.
So that line is cut out of the movie, at least in what's been floating around. And like, I didn't see it, but someone was saying there was like a card in there on that DCP, and I don't want to confirm this, that said this was supervised and approved by William Friedkin.
Mm-hmm.
Just pin that right there.
Yeah.
So the guy, and you know, made it a point to say the N-word in front of me, that how detrimental that scene was. And it's just like, I get it. You know, I don't think movies should be censored or recut and all that. It's like from Star Wars, and like, you know, I know Coppola did that with Apocalypse Now, but Coppola will at the very least put the other versions out there. Whereas like Star Wars, all you get is those final whatever versions.
Right.
But
I think even more so than just that kind of content cutting and changing, you know, I think just changing content to soften itself for modern sensibilities. Although, you know, I'm not, you know, just like I was saying earlier, it's like, man, it's a tough fucking argument, right? But like, especially in this case, it's a tough argument because it's tough to say like, I just need to hear this guy say the fucking N-word. But
I mean, but that's how it comes off. And like,
yeah.
And like, definitely that dude I was talking to at the
I mean,
theater.
that's right. So it sounds crazy, but you know, the more I think about it, is kind of right, though, you know, and that's what I'm saying is I was surprised at the amount of people on Twitter that, you know, that's where I saw the most talk about this, is like most people were saying like, you know, you shouldn't cut a film like this, you know, it's just like, if it's in there, it's in there. That was the original intent.
Yeah.
And you know, this is very different than like changing a little something on Star Wars, you know what I mean? They're not changing something in Star Wars because it was racist.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the thing about this, so the guy at the theater that night had mentioned he went to like another theater, Brain Dead Studios, and seen the movie like 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. So like, and the same version that I played there. And I was like,
he's just theater hopping, just trying to, I need to hear it. You like, just say it.
Yeah. But like, you know, and it's like the correspondence I had with the distributor, and like a lot of people are blaming Disney for this. And like, I'm going to just say right out the gate, yes, you know, Disney's like, you know, family friendly or whatever. They don't actually give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't fucking give a fuck. And I have a couple theories on why this is out there, because like, so the version that's playing in theaters ended up on the Criterion channel, which is where people called on. And it's just like, you know, my thing is like, I don't think the movie should be altered in that way because you're trying to, you know, but then it's just like, it comes down to like, it, you know, was this artistic choice? Now, William Friedkin is notorious for going back and fucking tinkering with his movies.
Right.
Like, you know, we just talked about.
I mean, I guess they have a right to do that. No, like, what is your quick thought on that? Is like, do they have a right to do that?
I mean, I think they do, but it gets, this is all because this also has to do with Criterion, because like, and this is also a Fox title. There was another Fox title that like maybe last year came out on Blu-ray on the Criterion collection, which was Miller's Crossing from the Coen brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Coen's apparently went in and trimmed out some like insensitive lines in that version, and people fucking flipped over that too. Mm-hmm. But the thing with Criterion's not going to put out a disc unless it's approved by the director.
Okay.
Like, they're, you know, that's just what they do. They're the Wong Kar-wai like box set where he went in and like recolor timed into all shit. People freaked out about that too. And like, so, and this is in that same vein. However, it's just like, because of what is cut and what you're like, people were just like, it just really, it's a weird thing. Not because like, you know, you could just say like, I don't think movies be censored, but people were just like going hardcore. They're like, I have this French Connection Blu-ray, like I'm our archivist. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm sure it's on torrents and all that. So my first theory,
but those other
things aren't.
There's other things happening, like, you know, not that long ago. Like the Wong Kar-wai thing was not that long ago
Yeah.
of a discussion.
Yeah.
And, it even, it's always the discussions with Star Wars being changed and all
Yeah.
that stuff. All that stuff is very, very recent. So this isn't something that's just like out of the blue
No,
or
no.
something. You know what I mean? It's just a part of the larger conversation.
It's part of the larger,
just-
and it just happens to be because the discourse and where we are as a country right now.
politically as well, right?
Yeah, it's more of a hotbed thing. So one theory is that Freakin cut it, and it might be more than a few years ago, he actually did a supervised transfer of when the French Connection first came out on Blu-ray. He went in and altered the color, like he color timed it up to contrast, made the movie look like it was like over contrast dog shit. Yeah. And like the DP on it like freaked out when he saw it, and everyone fucking dogpiled this fucking sucks.
And that was released as a DVD?
It was released as a Blu-ray and a DVD.
Blu-ray as well.
And
okay.
he had to go back and fucking redo it, and they had to re-release it so it was closer to how it came out.
Like, did they recall?
They didn't
like,
recall.
you know-
They didn't recall. They just did another one.
Okay, they just quickly did another new cut.
Yeah, I mean it was just new color time.
Mm-hmm.
So and freaking like there's like multiple versions of Cruising at this point. He's gone through like he's changed the color time. He's re-edited stuff. He's put stuff in, put stuff out. Look at The Exorcist. The only version of The Exorcist you can see is his director's cut. His original cut you cannot see. Yeah. Like if you have original, or like if there's original like 35 millimeter of like how it played in like the 70s, well, you will not be okay to play it.
Okay. Is there like VHS of that floating around or something?
There's
Like,
probably there's
a
VHS
way to see it.
There's a way to see that. Like there was actually I think a release where it had both versions on it, but to play theatrically, you can only play the approved William Friedkin thing. And in the note we got when we booked the French Connection is like, this is the talent approved DCP.
Okay.
That's the exact wording on it.
And is there an available print of that floating around that they're like, you're not allowed, you can't?
Well, for The Exorcist or the French Connection?
Or I guess French Connection.
Well, I'm curious to see if the new Beverly plays it, because they're only on 35.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think they're going to go through and like they would have to actually manually edit, like they would chop.
Right, yeah.
I don't foresee that happening, but like I could also see like, if someone's like, hey, I want to play a 35 print, Disney can be like, no, it's not the approved version, because like I've run into that. Like, I don't want to talk about I don't want to talk about what studio has done it, but like there's a certain studio that has a catalog of very, popular NC-17 cult films who I've run into problems trying to play those things, and like just being told no, and then like it's arbitrary. Like one year, one of those movies is allowed to be played, and everything else isn't, and then this year it's a different one. Everything else is froze. So it's like I was told this was like, I guess maybe last year around Valentine's when I was starting to do like when I went weekly, I wanted to do a Cronenberg series, and I wanted to do Crash on Valentine's Day because I think that would have been fucking sick. Was told that we could not get the print, and because it was NC-17 and they're only authorized to play the R-rated cut. R-rated cut was only created for Blockbuster Video. That is the only reason that fucking thing ever existed.
Right on. That makes sense.
And the only version of it that is commercially available of that R cut is the old flipper fucking DVD that New Line Warner Brothers put out way back. One side is the NC-17, other side is the R-rated cut. R-rated cut, it's way fucking short and it's like incomprehensible.
Oh, crazy.
Like they just cut the fucking shit out of it. So, but it's that kind of stuff. And like, that's what I'm saying. Someone was saying that the French Connection DCP, getting back to the French Connection, I know I got a little off on tangent, but like the French Connection apparently had a card, and according to that email, it was like talent approved. Some people have like kind of quietly said they think Gene Hackman kind of pressured Friedkin to make that change. I don't think Friedkin would have done that, or it might have been just a mutual thing. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. My other theory is that for whatever reason, someone fucked up and they had maybe a TV version or something like that, or like a Disney Plus version. Well, here's the other thing. Apparently in Europe, where Hulu and Disney Plus are like, there's no Hulu in Europe. It's just Disney Plus. So they have all their R-rated like Fox titles on Disney Plus. Apparently the fully uncut French Connection's still on there. in Europe. So I'm wondering if like they made it.
But also that, I mean, it's probably just coincidental, but like, that word has a lot more weight in the U.S. than it does elsewhere in the world. So
I mean,
maybe that's, but I doubt that they're not thinking into it in those ways. It's just licensing and, other strange things,
I mean, but then there's not a lot of TV. So at this point, most TV's played uncensored anyway, it's, I don't know what that version, it's weird because it could be like they made like a weird version that was like sanitized for something very specific. Maybe it's the airplane version of the movie. I don't know. And it just accidentally got DCP'd and got put on streaming and stuff. I mean, this is a long time ago, but like TCM, Turner Classic Movies, Constantine playing things in the right aspect ratio and all that. Played Star Wars on it one time in the wrong aspect ratio because they were given the masters that were incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
And they came from Fox.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of theories to that.
Yeah. I mean, Fox had The Simpsons, or, Fox Disney on Disney Plus when it first came out. The Simpsons was on there in the wrong aspect ratio.
Yeah, they had everything in
So that shit
185,
happens.
which like I guess because they're like, oh, people have TVs, but it's just like if you play The Simpsons 185, you're
cutting off
losing
the
it.
top.
You're losing information.
Yeah.
It's just like play things in correct aspect ratios. If something's scope, it should have the black bars at top and bottom. If something was a TV show that was shot 4:3, it should be like pillar box.
Yeah.
It should have black on both sides of the image. Like that's a whole other thing. But
Don't try to bring The Simpsons modern.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I probably knew episodes or that aspect ratio.
Right.
Like, but I think Netflix has fucking Seinfeld on there at 16:9, and it's like, come on, dog, that ain't right.
Yeah.
Like they could have shot on film, and they could have like just it could be open matter or anything like that. But it's like I don't believe that because like at the time everyone had a 4:3 TV.
Yeah, no, it's just fucking stretched all out because I've seen frames of Seinfeld. If you look at frames of Seinfeld, you can see like there's like you can on TV it's masked so that you're not seeing like the fucking giant hole in the wall over here and shit like that. That's clearly in that frame when you zoom out.
Yeah. So I don't know. The reason why I want to bring it up because I think in upcoming episode we're going to be talking about physical media, Blu-ray collecting, and all that, and like that kind of stuff. So this is a little bit of a teaser lead in.
Well, I'm bringing back French Connection real quick. Look, I recently heard that that the restaurant Popeyes was actually named after Popeye Doyle.
It is,
and not the cartoon. I didn't actually do any research myself.
No, that's
but I
true.
heard it, and
That's
I'm like,
100% fact. That's 100% fact.
ass. Awesome.
Yeah, it's a weird 100% fact.
Hell yeah.
It's like what's name her chicken restaurant from Louisiana after a racist cop or whatever.
Racist cock.
Racist cop, whatever. But I mean that's insane.
Yeah.
And like, no one mentions like French Connection 2 where he's like shooting heroin.
Yeah. I didn't know that existed. So yeah, I guess no one actually does mention that. Yeah, you're correct.
There was actually, I'm going to say this, there was a period of time that there was a lot of people that felt French Connection 2 was better than French Connection.
Wow. Okay.
And it's directed by John Frankenheimer.
No wonder they named a restaurant after the guy. They're just making fucking 6 sequels and everything.
I mean, there was also a de facto sequel, Roy Scheider's character called the 7 Ups.
Oh, okay.
It's like he's basically playing the cop he played in French Connection, but with a different team, and there's like a car chase in that and all that. I don't know, but the reason why I want to wanted to bring this up because the film Twitter discourse, it's just like, all you gotta say is like, I don't think movies should be altered. Like, it's like going and taking a painting and deciding that you're gonna reframe it, or the artist gonna like, I'm gonna,
Did you see the AI Mona Lisa? Did you see those AI like reimagining of like
classic
paintings?
Yeah. And the funny thing is like because the people that were doing it were so fucking stupid that like like when was it the Sistine Chapel where like God and David or whatever that fucking thing, I forget what it's called. Not art person, but we all know it. Like that image of God and the dude getting ready to touch fingers, it created this whole cloud sequence. Never mind that the actual art piece is a whole fucking ceiling with a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's just like,
yeah,
you think you're being clever with AI, you're just like, you're looking like a fucking fool. Because they literally, you could Google and see the rest of the fucking art.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, the thing about AI is only based on like, it's only as smart as like the shit you feed it. And most people using AI aren't very fucking smart. at this juncture. So I don't know, but I guess we should probably start wrapping this up and kind of leading into. I mean, did we make a final thing about the French Connection stuff? I guess my opinion is I don't think the movie should be censored, but I kind of get why it is. And if it's artistic, you know, if it's Friedkin, who's the, you know, if we're gonna do Archer, who's like the director is the author of the film, and this is the choice he's making, this is the version he wants out there. It's like, I don't agree with it, but I respect it. That's all I'm gonna leave it at. It's like I don't agree with what happened to Star Wars. You know, I don't agree that like there's certain movies that the only version you can see is that cut. You know, I mean, thankfully there's some directors that do their own version. Like think of the Warriors. You know, Walter Hill did that weird version where you have the comic book panels in there and shit. I don't like that version.
Yeah.
And thankfully, when you book to play that, the Warriors, you don't have to play that version. You can still play the theatrical version. Mm-hmm. So I think, you know, if there's an option, but like, you know, some directors don't want the option. That's what they want the art to be. And then it comes down like, it's kind of like Kanye West and like was it The Life of Pablo, where he was constantly tinkering with that album?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, is it an artistic choice to go back and just continually evolve it? I'm just putting theories out here. I'm not agreeing, disagreeing. I'm just like, well, let's have a full discussion, because like, what's right, what's wrong? It's like, if an artist is going back and it's considered their art and they're making the choices, is it inherently wrong? Some people are going to pick and choose depending on what the art is. You know, there's plenty of movies where I like the theatrical cut, and granted it was taken away from the director. Yeah. And then the director does a director's cut and it's fucking dog shit. True. And then do you prescribe that the director's cut is the real version when the other version is technically better? Yeah. Because art's subjective. And like, I'm looking at this from that standpoint, and like, because I feel like any other way, it's like you're defending like, I want to hear the N-word, which is like how a lot of that feels, whether people mean it or not. Yeah. And like, I get it. You shouldn't fuck with art and just like leave it on its merit. It's a timepiece. It's like the cop is fucking racist. It is very, very heavy-handed that he is racist. Yeah. Like there's nothing, even with that cut out, it's still very apparent that Popeye Doyle is a racist fucking cop. So that's where I kind of stand on it. And I think it's for a bigger discussion on just art in general, you know, because I know there was books that they were going through and changing words and all that, and people were having the same issues and stuff. And it's like, I get it, but like, you know, is self-censorship, like someone choosing to censor themselves and feel like they evolved and feel like I don't feel this way anymore, that I think that's kind of valid too, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
My personal preference is like, art is art, leave it as is, you know?
That's what I think, man. I mean, I think nothing should be censored. Nothing is too much. It's just, if you don't like it, don't fucking watch it. I know that's me. You know?
And I think that's my correct feeling on it. But at the same time, I'm looking at it from the artist's perspective. So it's like, you know, if the artist feels different about their art.
Yeah. But as far as the actual artist changing their work, I don't know. What's my opinion on that? I think that most times, like for instance, you know, Max and Igor Cavalera are re-recording old Sepultura records, and you know, I'm sorry, but like, you know, you're gonna re-record the whole record 35 years later. Like, that's probably gonna fucking suck. You know?
Well, I wonder if they're doing that for publishing.
Yeah, of course they are. But
it's
that, and it's because, like, you know, fucking Morbid Vision sounds like shit.
Well, yeah.
You know?
It's like,
you know, they've got their reasons, and they want to make money off those records again or whatever. But at the same time, like, you know, it's not going to be good. Like, Dave Mustaine went back and, like, tinkered with the old Megadeth records, and, like, he went Christian and lost his mind and, like, wants to take out, like, certain lines. And, like, I don't know if that ever actually occurred where, like, he, like, re-recorded the vocals and changed lyrics and stuff like that, but I had definitely heard rumors, you know, just the idea of that even occurring, whether it did or not, is just absolutely fucking insane.
I mean, that's another thing to think about. It's just like, you know, music and stuff. Like, think of like people that have gone back and like remastered.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, remastered is,
But
you know,
it can
9 times out of 10 it's better, but at the same time,
there's people that like interpret their art different. Like, oh, you know what? I felt like this needed, and like I've heard remasters. Like I've heard some like black metal band remasters where they added clarity and like you can separation of like drum tracks and stuff. And like I listen to this, like I don't like this anymore, because it's like you're trying to make something polished that was never meant to be polished, but artistic at 10. You know. It's a weird thing, but it's like, you know, I know Dave Mustaine lost his fucking mind because he got off the H train and found Jesus. And like, but it's like, if you go and re-record vocals or change vocal lines, it's going to be noticeable unless you do the whole song, because your voice does not sound the same as it did. It'd be like James Hetfield's like, you know what? I just want to change one line on Kill 'Em All. He can't do that voice anymore. Yeah. It'd be go from like the, you know, like how he was on, I mean, that's not how he was on Kill 'Em All. I don't know what fucking voice.
I love that you did that. I'm gonna fucking.
What
if Paige Hamilton went back and recorded, you know, fucking the first 3 Helmet records with his new shitty James Hetfield voice?
Oh my god. No, you know? I mean, the Sepultura thing for those guys, I think it's probably because they're trying to fuck the band. The current, because they're not Sepultura, they're just the Caballero brothers or whatever. Yeah. Like, it's sort of like what Taylor Swift did with her records, which is basically I own the masters, and when someone wants to use a version of that song, they have to use my version and not the other one.
But like I you know, I don't know I wonder what the consensus is with the Taylor Swift fans. Is the re-recorded version garbage? Because it almost always is. Like across the board, think of any bands that were just like, we're gonna redo that, and it always fucking sucks ass.
Yeah, I've never, you know, outside of maybe I
don't know. It's not in the same conversation as French Connection though, but it's close. It's tangential.
It is, because it's just like, you know. Actually, here's something that's closer to French Connection.
It's still artists fucking up their shit.
So, I've been to a lot, you know, not recently, but I would go to hip hop shows where like hip hop artists would change their lyrics because they noticed it was a predominantly white crowd, so they didn't use the N-word live.
Really?
Yeah, I saw Del the Funky Homo Sapien. This has been 20 years ago. But anyway, we're gonna wrap this up, and this discussion went longer.
This is the last episode.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm not, you know. I think we covered like the basis of like art versus commerce versus like like, you know, where does censorship, censorship and art and all that converge. And this is more to create more questions and thought than like having a definitive answer. We gave her a fucking answer and how we feel about it. But we do have, speaking of movies, we have some movies we're going to talk about. We're going to be talking about the July lineup here for Cinematic Void. So why don't we take a break, and we'll be right back, and we'll do that shit.
There he is. What a happening dude.
There's a super party animal. Yeah. His name is Bugs McKenzie. A barbecue inside. A barbecue. And a cold Bud Light. Puts him in a party frenzy.
He's Buds McKenzie, Bud Light's original party animal.
Go, Buds, go. Go, Buds, go.
Go, Buds, go.
Buds, you really cooking now.
All right.
The common shark. It's powerful. It's agile. It's aggressive. And most of all, it's jealous. Presenting the new Tiger Sharks. Everything else is just bait. For a free video, call 1-800-5T-SHARK.
Welcome back. We are talking about the July lineup here on the Cinematic Void podcast, and this is going to be all the screenings we're doing at the Lost Fields 3, as well as our bi-monthly residency at the Frida, because, you know, we did one back in May, going every other month. It's July, so we have a screening there too. I think it's 8 different screenings this month, which is a fucking lot if you think about it. Although one of them I won't be here for, and I will denote that when we get there. Outside of the Frida show and what's playing the first day of July, which is I'm doing both the 7 and 10 p.m. shows, and we'll talk about that when we get there, I had a completely different lineup, completely different theme, just completely different everything. We talked about it, and like you had different plans, and to quote Fat Joe, yesterday's price is not today's price. So things had to change. So different lineup, but honestly, I was going to do more of an Italian, like horror-themed month, and it just, for a lot of reasons, wasn't working, and this is going to, we'll talk a little bit about programming baseball here. We're in the middle of June right now, and like my June programming hasn't been doing so hot. Just flat out. Like, In a Glass Cage did relatively well. Didn't sell out, but it was a packed house. Same for Last Horror Film. But the rest of June is not looking too hot. And I got some theories. I'm going to propose them here before we talk about the July lineup. But it's just like, House on the Edge of the Park and Cannibal Apocalypse, kind of like Italian trash cinema staples. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I kind of wonder if the Void core audience has shifted for a lot of reasons. It's like, since I've done weekly, I've still done those movies. And obviously January Giallo is nothing but like Italian genre trash cinema for the, most part. And like that always does well. But it's just like, it's just, last year I did a few like one-off like Italian horror films. I did Patrick Still Lives. It was a little low attended. It was also, Patrick Still Lives, so it was definitely a deep cut. Did Nightmare City during Camp Void last year. It did relatively well. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of maybe ebbs and flow, but like, I thought like, doing some Italian horror, I don't want to say classics, but, fun genre fare would have brought some people out that hadn't come out in a while, and just like numbers reflect no. It's just what it is. So something to think about in programming when like things that used to work aren't exactly working the same. And it's like, definitely been promoting them, definitely been pushing them out there. I will say Last Horror Film it did well. The room was crowded. Like by the time the movie went on the screen, it was a pretty packed house. Mm-hmm. But like, it was taking a bit to like build up like ticket sales and stuff like that. But the, House on the Edge of Park and Cannibal Apocalypse have been like just barely a pulse.
Crazy.
But I'll say when I looked at tickets for Cannibal Apocalypse today, it actually had a pretty big jump. And It's actually, I think it went past House on the Edge of the Park. It might be because it's on a film print and House isn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's definitely a big factor, I think, with your crowd.
Yeah. I did try to get that House on the Edge of the Park print, and it just didn't work out. It's
Gotcha.
One of those things, and it's not like...
I think that's the one I'm excited for.
I mean, I think the people who are going to come for it are like going to be down for it. It's, it's definitely uncomfortable, but it is like it's sleazy fun, but it's definitely sleazy, and it's definitely like going to make you want to take a hot shower afterwards and scrub your skin off for some of the stuff. I mean, it's David Hess. If you've seen Last House on the Left, you should know what you're about to get into. And, there's definitely people like, oh shit, you're playing this. But it's just like, it's just one of those things. So this is going to lead into July, because I would say July is a little more mainstreamy, like a little on the nose. I be critical myself. I, pat myself on the back where I think I did a good job or whatever. I'll be a little critical and think, it's not my favorite lineup. And a lot of it was like compromises and like just plugging shit in after I had movies fall out and other issues and that kind of stuff. But I think there's some still interesting stuff that's happening in the month. But let's go ahead and kick it off with July 3rd. As already mentioned, doing 2 shows. And the first one at 7 p.m. is a classic. It's a beloved classic. It's probably one of the greatest movies ever made. And I stand by it, and I think you agree with it too.
Definitely. Jaws 2.
Not Jaws 2. That's coming later, but God damn it, you. But of course, we're talking about the original, often imitated, sequel to death, Jaws.
It has survived millions of years of evolution. A mindless eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him Jaws.
If you forgot what terror is like, the original Jaws is back for 2 weeks only. Rated PG.
Yeah, one of the greats.
What can really be said? We already said it's
You've heard of it.
Yeah, you've heard of it. Like, cultural osmosis has like made it one of those movies like Psycho or fucking from like pre-1990, pre-2000. Like, there's certain older it's weird to say Jaws is an older movie when there's like fucking over 100 years of film history, but like to a lot of younger kids, it's like
this is a 50-year-old movie.
Yeah, it really fucking is
coming up on it.
Yes, it's 48 this year, and it's a movie that the only time I saw it not work, and wasn't the movie's fault, is we had that earthquake of the Egyptian.
Yeah,
took the audience out of it. But every other time I've sat in a theater and watched Jaws, I've seen it like I saw it in a tiny like fucking 20-seat theater at the AFI Silver down like Silver Spring years ago, and I've seen it like, you know, countless times at the Egyptian or the Arrow or whatever. That movie, it always works. It just fucking, even the most cynical, I've seen everything, that movie it grabs people and doesn't let go. And I know there's, you know, edgelords out there who's like, oh, I don't like Jaws. You know, fuck you. You're full of shit. Like, you're full of shit if you don't think that movie works.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible. And I don't know why I'm talking so much about this screening, because it's already sold out, obviously. It's like, you know, it's a no-brainer. But I don't know. I'm happy because we got the Baller Universal 35mm print for this. It's playing a couple times at the Cinematheque. It's playing, I think, July 1st at the Arrow. And then it's also playing on the 4th, but my July 3rd screening sold out. And that leads into the 10 p.m. screening, which was something which I actually did last year. I'm trying a tradition. And that tradition is showing another, I guess, if you've seen Jaws, you know it takes place on the 4th of July or around it. This other movie that's playing at 10 also takes place on the 4th of July. It's one of my personal, dare I say, top 10 movies. Of course, I'm talking about Roller Coaster.
Get ready for the thrill of your life. Now, Universal plunges you into a mystery at the speed of sound. Roller Coaster. An accident in California.
That's 2 accidents in 1 week. Who's putting the lid on this? The police?
A recording from a stranger.
Get on the ride, Harry.
A drop in Virginia.
Harry.
Yeah.
Remember what happens when you don't follow directions.
And a man in the middle on the ride of his life.
They're over the lift. It's too late to stop them now.
Let's go.
Roller Coaster.
Now, Roller Coaster, which we did an episode on the way back in, I don't want to say season 1, but year 1 of the podcast. We did 4th of July favorites, and we talked about it a little bit on that. If you want to get access to that episode, that's exclusively on Patreon now, along with a bunch of our older, I don't like the word content. Content's a terrible word. Now everything's referred to as content now. I'll say one of the older kind of getting the feel of it episodes, a lot of those are now just Patreon exclusive. So you want access to that, join the Patreon, help support us. So check it out if you want to. But, you know, Roller Coaster is from 1977. It was shot in Sensorama, which is, anytime that I've ever talked about this movie, like, are you playing in Sensorama? No, because it doesn't exist anymore. Like, Sensorama was a very specific sound setup. It was a 70mm print. They had like that low end frequency that would rumble the theater because, you know, like earthquake and stuff like that. It doesn't exist anymore. I showed this last year, actually on the 4th of July, because I've always wanted to show Roller Coaster in a theater. Universal had made a new DCP of it, and it was the world premiere of it. And it's just like, got a really good crowd from it last year. And it's like, well, I was like, let me have the 10 and let me do Roller Coaster. And just, because I always wanted to do Jaws and Roller Coaster as a double feature. And at one point, during the lockdown, we were at the drive-in. It almost happened. That was going to be the opening night. It was going to be Jaws and Roller Coaster. But they're like, oh, Roller Coaster's like a 2-hour movie. We don't want people to be there too late. So they switched out for Tremors. So this is the closest I can do a double feature as 2 separate tickets. But I'll say this. Like, the tickets for Roller Coaster have been selling damn good. So I'm glad this movie is kind of getting the dap and recognition and all that for it. It's, you know, it's a great movie about a, you know, amusement park safety inspector going against the Mad Bomber. You get to see King's Dominion, which you and I both went to in our childhoods, because it's in, I guess, just outside of Richmond, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a nice little trek every now and then. And also get to see Magic Mountain, which I went to last year and did a Cinematic Void vlog on, which you can find on the YouTube channel, where I just go to the roller coaster, which is the Revolution. Been in a lot of movies, but it's first time roller coaster. So I'm really stoked to be showing that. I'm stoked to watch both movies back to back in a theater. So it's like, it's like I've like, oh man, I go to bed at like 10 or whatever. It's like I can stay up late for roller coaster. Coming up the following week, which is the 10th, we're staying with Universal titles, and Nick already alluded to this one. I guess it's one of his personal favorites. We'll see. Which is going to be Jaws 2 from 1978. It's going to be another 35mm print.
3 years ago, the island town of Amity was the scene of a terrible tragedy. But today, there is a new hotel and the promise of a perfect summer. Now, just when they thought the waters were safe again, the legend continues.
Out of the water now! That's a shark. And I know what a shark looks like because I've seen one up close. And you better do something about this one because I don't intend to go through that hell again. No! Mike is out there.
Universal presents the all-new Jaws 2.
I don't know. What are your feelings on Jaws 2?
I don't really remember it. It's been a really long time. I kind of remember it as being just the... I'm trying to think of another good example of just like the sequel that just feels like it's just going through the fucking motions. You know, it just doesn't have any of the magic of the original, but they're just kind of
I mean, the backstory behind Jaws 2 is maybe more interesting than the actual movie.
The actual film, okay.
I mean, the thing is, it's like Roy Scheider had quit the Deer Hunter, and he was still under contract for Universal, and basically, they're like, if you do Jaws 2, your contract's done, you're free to go. He's like, he didn't want to do Jaws 2. No one wanted to do the sequel. But because they kind of had him over the fire, he did Jaws 2, and apparently he was a fucking nightmare on that movie.
Okay.
Roy did not give a fuck and did not want to be there. They had an original director, got shit canned, brought in another director, and like the thing about Jaws 2, I think the best thing about it, and like if you ever wanted to see a musical score carry a fucking movie on its shoulders, John Williams is the unsung hero of Jaws 2. Because like he makes that fucker work when like it probably shouldn't. There's some cool stuff in there. I mean, they definitely the original Jaws motif of like show less of the shark is thrown out the fucking window, because it's like that shark is like everywhere.
Yeah,
it is just like right front and center. And like I think there's things in it that work. I don't think it's a perfect movie. I think it's a fun movie to watch with the audience though.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of stoked to see that in a theater.
Come to think of it, I probably remember Jaws 3 and 4 way more.
I mean, the thing about Jaws 3, I couldn't tell you fuck all about that movie other than that fucking weird... I mean, first time I saw Jaws 3 was not in 3D. And you know that shot of the shark that's like, obviously in 3D would look pretty fucking cool, this giant fucking thing floating towards you before it breaks the glass.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching that as a kid and be like, this looks fucking stupid.
Yeah. It's like, now you're scared that you can't go to the beach anymore. Now you can't even go to the fucking aquarium.
I know. Just like, I mean, that fucking shark is huge. It's like, is it a megalodon? I can't remember. Maybe it's just the 3D shot of it. Like, it's just like, I don't even know if that works in 3D. I know a few years back, like, we showed it on, like, actual film 3D. Maybe more than a few years back, and I definitely showed it at the Arrow on a double feature with Ape.
I would love to see that in 3D. That fucking rules.
There's a 3D DCP of it that you can show. I definitely showed Jaws 3D.
Cool. And then Jaws 4, where the shark follows them to a fucking island.
It's the serial killer movie, dude. So roundabout with French Connection and Christmas. Originally, in my Christmas lineup, I wanted to do Jaws Revenge because it's a Christmas movie. I think we might have talked about it
Yeah.
a little bit. There's a fucking scene in Jaws: The Revenge where it's like he's a fucking like it's like the Black Christmas murder.
Yeah.
Where they like have all the like the singing and it cross cuts between the shark fucking up Chief Brody's kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like I wanted to show that for Christmas so fucking bad. Universal had no materials, no DCP, no nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Michael Caine was like, "Look, I bought a house with this movie. That's cool, but please don't let this play in a theater." I don't know.
Yeah.
It's such a fucking wacky movie. It's not. I'll say this: as great as Jaws is, the sequels are not. They have varying entertainment value. Hi, we're podcasting. You're now on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, I forgot.
Do you have anything you want to tell us? Amish people?
Amish people? I don't know. I'm glad to take a break from customer service, so I can tell you that much.
We agree with that. So
I'm sorry.
it's all right.
All right. Well,
Are you out?
Podcasting.
Are you
I'm
out?
going to get to the cucumbers.
That's good. That's better than work, I think.
It is. Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, Leslie, and she's going to get cucumbers. We'll get back to the podcast.
That's right. Eat your vegetables.
All right. Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.
As we were interrupted by my girlfriend who was out getting cucumbers. You know, again, like, what was I saying? As good as Jaws is as bad as the other movies are. Yeah. Kind of. I mean, they all have entertainment value and whatever. Anyway, that Jaws 2 35mm, that's selling pretty goddamn well so far. Cool. I mean, people were stoked. The next movie, which is going to be on the July 17th, has been selling well for obvious reasons. And I won't actually be in the theater for this screening. So it's a little deliberate. I picked a movie that would be a crowd pleaser. And I picked a movie. I don't dislike this movie, even though I'm not a big fan of this particular franchise. But, you know, it's like, if I'm not going to be there, I might as well pick something that, like, not necessarily, I don't want to say not care, because I feel like that's the wrong, but it's like, pick something that people will enjoy and, like, you know, it's okay that I'm not there. Which is Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives.
They thought the nightmare was dead and buried. They were wrong. Jason lives. Happy Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason Lives.
Starts August 1st at a Famous Players and other theaters near you. Check local listings.
Now, this is like the final installment of the Tommy Jarvis trilogy that's built in there that started Part 4, where, like, starts out as Corey Feldman, grows up to be Tom Matthews from Return of the Living Dead. So it's 4, 5, and 6. Out of the 3, my favorite's 5, because that's the one that has the fake Jason Roy. And it's really sleazy and just really trashy. This one's fun, though. You know, it has the James Bond spoof opening credits and, like, lots of good kills, and it's very cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
It was also I think it's the last Friday 13th before Kane Hodder took over.
Okay.
So, playing on 35mm print. People really stoked for it. I'll be out of town. I'll be going to Sleepy Hollow and
You're going to have Nikolai host the screening for you?
I should. No, I'm actually pre-taping it, so... Can you imagine my arch nemesis Nikolai introducing the movie?
Well, upon your death, he's going to be taking over, remember?
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
I ain't dead. I'm just not there. I'm still alive. So I think my plan is that there won't be a live person intro. It'll just, like, once the Void intro video plays, it just goes into my pre-tape and just play the fucking movie.
Sweet.
I kind of like that idea. I want to see how that goes, because, like, normally if I miss a week, I just, you know, don't do any programming. I was like, let's try something different.
Cool.
So, yeah, Friday the 13th, Part 6. The following week, I'll actually be back in town for a movie that has, you know, any movie that Anton LaVey, head of the Church of Satan, the real Church of Satan, not that whatever bullshit fake one that, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. Like, when I think of Church of Satan, I think Anton LaVey and all that bullshit. Yeah. And not whatever. Also, I don't know how you have more than one Church of Satan. Like, how does that work? Yeah. I mean, especially when it's not the same thing. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. Anyway, this is Anton LaVey. He was a creative consultant on a movie called Devil's Reign, which is masterpiece. Any movie where Ernest Borgnine turns into a devil man and people melt, awesome. This was another movie he creatively consulted on, and it's called The Car.
Evil has visited the earth in many forms. Now it returns as the Car.
There was no driver in the car.
The car possessed.
I know why he didn't go into the cemetery. The ground was hallowed.
Who knows what it wants? They all know nothing can stop the car.
This is Wade. We can't let him through no matter what. Stay in close. You'll have to stop.
There's nowhere to turn.
The car, he's in here.
Nowhere to hide. No way to stop the car.
I think I hear the engine of that car. It's around here somewhere. Wait, I'm scared. No, I promise you I won't go out. Tell me what to do, baby.
What evil force drives the car?
Definitely a little bit of riff on Jaws, because it's, I mean, just by nature, not necessarily plot wise, but it's basically a satanically possessed car killing people. Just it's kind of a fun movie. It's like it's been on my list for a while, and like this was one of the first ones I threw in when I had to like drop something out. I was like, fuck it. Why don't I just show the car? It's kind of a summer. It's outdoors. Yeah. I mean, that horn honking is ridiculous in that movie. It's got James Brolin, dad to Josh Brolin in it, and it's like I was like, I feel like watching the car, so I programmed the car. So I mean, that's basically what it is. So this is probably out of July. It's the 1, 2, 3. It's the 4th Universal title I'm playing this month. Oh wow! So lots of sending Matt or.
I always love going to Universal. My homie works over there. I love going over there.
Yeah, just get stuck behind the tram picking up film prints.
Yeah, there's that. But
I mean, you'll be picking up 3. You'll be picking up Jaws 2, the car. I'm sure there's some other stuff at the Cinematheque coming from Universal that month, or in July, I should say. But yeah, the car's a really fun one if you haven't seen it. And to close, not to close out the month, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Actually, going to be going to the Frida again, as mentioned earlier, and this is part of our, bi-monthly residency. Back in May, did Demons, and I kind of wanted to keep with, void tradition of not just doing horror movies, but genre movies in general. So on Friday, I believe it's the 28th is the day. Yeah, Friday the 28th, going to be back at the Frida for Rowdy Harrington's Roadhouse.
Can I buy you guys a drink? Guess not.
Patrick Swayze is
Dalton.
I thought you'd be bigger.
Opinions vary.
When he's around, anything can happen.
How does a guy like you end up a bouncer?
Just lucky, I guess.
And usually does.
If somebody gets in your face, I want you to be nice.
Don't be rude.
Ask him to walk, but be nice.
Help this gentleman to the door.
Until it's time to not be nice.
So says the fighting philosopher.
He may be hard to handle.
I keep talking, you're gonna go off thinking I'm a nice guy.
I know you're not a nice guy.
But he's easy to like.
What's the matter, Dalton? Don't you like women?
Worst I ever had was wonderful.
He's not what you'd expect.
I thought you'd be bigger.
But there's one thing you can count on. He's the best friend a good time ever had.
You guys tired?
Doc, I'll get all the sleep I need and I'm dead. This is my town.
I'm not afraid of him.
I guess you'll be having that fire sale now, all right? Got your hands full, kid.
I just think I'm looking at a dead man.
Patrick Swayze.
For that line of work, I thought you'd be bigger.
Gee, I've never heard that before.
Roadhouse.
Right on. That's a fun one.
Oh, it's a fun one.
And it's got to be great with the damn crowd.
Yeah, and like Frida Crowd was awesome when I was there for Demons. So this is definitely a crowd pleaser movie. Like any movie where Patrick Swayze fucking people up, ripping throats, get to see Sam Elliott's pubes. You know, it's just. I mean, what else can I say about it? Only in the 80s could a movie like this be made.
By someone named Rowdy Harrington, by the way, which is just the fakest name I've ever heard in my life.
I mean, like Roddy Piper was Rowdy Piper was fucking big. Everyone's like, my name's Rowdy.
I had never considered it.
I mean,
how are you gonna be named Rowdy?
I mean, I don't know if it's his real name or not.
I guess I never. Yeah, fuck, man.
I mean, we're talking about Rowdy Harrington and Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper has a real name, but like, I don't. Well, we're getting way off here. Although this does kind of like
Roddy.
Yeah,
that's so funny.
I mean, that'll come when I get a rewatch and listen.
Roddy is like a name of a fucking Garbage Pail Kid.
Oh, it definitely. I guarantee
like I had it.
Yeah, I guarantee you that was one. What else can I say about this movie? You know, it's got, lens by the great Dean Cundey, who did Carpenter's movies and like went on to do Jurassic Park and stuff. And I think he's working on those Star Wars TV shows now that Disney's producing. Like he's DPing again, which is like great to hear. Because there was a point where he was just on the indie film circuit, and I think he was teaching like cinematography at different schools. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying anything good or bad happened to him. That's why, but like, hey, it's kind of cool he's still out there and still DPing stuff, because he's probably one of the best DPs going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, I'm not a big Back to the Future fan, but he made those movies look good.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, and this movie looks great. Yeah, Roadhouse down the Frida on the 28th. And then to close out July at the LF3, we are actually teaming up with TerrorVision Records. I guess there's Video and Records. I forget how they put the nomenclature on there, but TerrorVision's been around. They've been releasing, vinyl, and they started out as a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome, and then they kind of branched out. Now they're their own independent, thing. So they kind of hit us up, and Brad Henderson, who used to work for Vinegar Syndrome, who now just exclusively works for TerrorVision, at least they're doing their video and Blu-ray stuff. We had a talk, and we talked about things they had coming up, and they, mentioned they had this movie, Shergala, coming out. I think I'm saying it right. Shergala is basically the Indonesian Friday the 13th ripoff.
Okay.
And, the guy directed it, whose name I'm not going to try. I mean, I should try, but like, Siswaro Guatemala Putra?
I was going to warn you not to even try, but yeah, go for it. Just don't do it, dude.
I mean, I just did it, but I'm just going by how it's spelled. I mean,
good.
I mean, I'm just trying not to be disrespectful.
Of course.
But the guy also made this bonkers fucking Indonesian horror movie called Satan's Slave, which I think Vinegar Syndrome actually put out on Blu-ray, which is just fucking bonkers. But this was, Indonesia and other places like, Pakistan and like India would do knockoffs of, movies.
Mm-hmm.
And they always end up being entertaining. We just, watched Malacca, which was, Bollywood version of like A Nightmare on Elm Street. And this is the Indonesian version of Friday the 13th. I mean, there's no musical numbers in it, but like it deviates but follows the plot. And I think it's definitely more like, dare I say, mystical.
Okay.
But it's just like, I enjoy this a lot more than Friday the 13th. And like they're getting, I think the Blu-ray will be out by the time this is screening, but like I saw this years ago and it was a bootleg, and like it was missing gore, or like just assumed there's no gore in it. Apparently there's quite a bit of gore in it, and this is the first time it's been fully restored so you can see all the gore. So I don't know, this is out of the whole month of things that are kind of like very studio centric horror and genre fare, I think this is the most interesting thing you can come check out. You know, TerrorVision could be there. I think they're gonna have a little pop-up shop, so they'll have like Blu-rays, and I don't know if they'll have records, but they'll definitely probably have Blu-rays and shit for sale. So you know, kind of nice to work with a newer label and showcase one of their titles. So that's our July lineup here on the Cinematic Void podcast. Like, hit us up on socials. Tell us what you think about it. Tell us what your favorite screening or the screening you're looking forward to the most is. But we're gonna take one last break here, and when we come back, we'll be rewatch and listen here on the Cinematic Void podcast.
True Value Hardware, it's more than a name.
Keep the birds well fed year-round with this Rubbermaid tile roof style bird feeder. It can be hung from a tree branch or installed on a platform or pole. The feeder evenly distributes up to 5 pounds of seed through the windproof chimney cap. And in November, the Rubbermaid bird feeder is just $4.99. Look for the Hardware Value of the Month banner at most True Value hardware stores.
Fill your fondest dreams, where vegetables are lollipops and bubbles seem like jelly beans. Imagine a Six Flags world where cars are aeroplanes and you can walk upon the moon. Search for Porridge Gold with Pac-Man, ride with a shirt-tails raccoon. A special place where kids can see through magic eyes, because Magic Mountain's new children's world is exactly children's size.
Welcome back. It's now time for on the Cinematic Void podcast, where we talk about all the things we've been reading, watching, and or listening to since the last time we recorded our podcast.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. I'm just sitting here with Nick. We're recording the Void podcast, so we figured we'd phone a friend and put you on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Like, I was like, dude, DeHaven just texted me Portal Rules. Nick's like, no, he didn't.
Dude, I say Portal Rules once a week at least. I think about it so much. When I saw Mike Thompson a month ago, I was like, dude, Portal Rules. And he totally remembered too. Like, everybody remembers Portal Rules.
It's how I live my life daily.
Oh man, dude, that made my day. What's up, dude?
I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I was like, I gotta text Jim. I think about it all the time because there's no one else here I can text that to.
Portal haunts me, dude.
All right, Jim, we're gonna let you phone in if you're down. We're doing read, watch, and listen. You want to talk us? Just jump in. Tell us what you've been reading, watching, or listening to since we have you on the phone talking about some random high school joke that's funny to Nick and I that we always do on the podcast anyway.
Yeah, I haven't really been watching anything really, so.
You're lying. I see you on Letterboxd. I know you saw something last week.
I mean, I just got that giant Bergman box set in.
Nice. I just saw my first Bergman.
Because that was cheap, and I just picked up fucking Fred Olen Ray's book he just did for Deep Red.
Nice.
But I haven't read that yet, and I just finished Quentin Tarantino's book, which I really liked.
Nice.
Because I hear him narrate it as I read it. And for some weird reason, I've been on some Ben Affleck kick.
Nice. Directing or just going through his whole filmography of, like, acting?
Acting.
Nice.
I don't know why. And then last night I watched Natural Enemies for my first time. I've been wanting to see it for years. And
nice.
It's the most bleak piece of cinema I've ever seen. I loved it.
Yeah, I might suggest that Cinematech does Bleak Week, and we just wrapped it up. I think Natural Enemies would be a good title for that, because that movie is fucking with what's his name, Hal Halbrook.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it felt like it was speaking to me. Like, am I narrating this? It made me feel better about myself.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, a bleak movie should make you feel like, man, at least that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Tonight I plan on watching that Prague Nights horror anthology thing.
Nice.
Which I'm excited about.
Well, I'm glad you've read some stuff, because like usually when we do rewatch and listen, neither Nick and I have read shit.
I usually read an hour a night, so.
God damn.
Damn, nice.
That is some dedication. So, yeah.
It's the only thing that helps me sleep.
Yeah, I mean.
It's either that or just fall asleep watching like Shaw Brothers films I've seen 100 times, so.
It's the comfort, you know?
Yeah.
But oh, man. Dude, we should actually legit have you on the podcast and just shoot the shit at some point.
100% will be down with that.
Nice. We've made many mentions to the legendary DeHaven. Like Nick and I make so many fucking Maryland references. It's like no one cares. And then we found out people actually from Maryland listen to us. Like, oh man, did we talk shit about someone?
You Jess Morgan. Jess Morgan hit me up the other day and said he listens all the time.
That's so funny. Just yesterday, I brought up Messi Morgan to a guy at work because I was talking about the time he was taking a fry holster from Roy Rogers. Dude,
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, dude, I can't forget that because he came over to our fucking apartment with it.
Yeah, I was explaining to I was like, yeah, it's just a buddy of ours. It was amazing.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God. I mean, I think Roy Rogers just exists on, like, the fucking New Jersey Turnpike now, if that.
Yeah, I usually do a monthly visit. In memory of Morgan.
Oh, God.
Why else go to Jersey, you know? What other reason?
You know, it's like, fucking just get the fry holster. That's all that matters. And if I still... like, the one thing I need to figure out how to recreate as a vegan is, like, the vegan version of the Gold Rush chicken sandwich from Roy Rogers.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, there's no way. There's too much decadence and, like, unhealthiness attached to that. You know, you got the honey glaze, you got...
I think it might have went extinct. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because it probably killed people.
I'm still alive?
Well, that's true. I mean, I definitely ate a lot. That was always my go-to. I think we had enough of those when we used to do the fucking Salem road trips. We would get those fucking sandwiches.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were perfect for breakfast, lunch, snack.
One time I was skateboarding right by the Roy Rogers, like by the community college and all that shit.
Yeah. I
was skateboarding there, I think with Tom Tom that was in Suburban Vermin.
Oh, what? Tom Klein.
Tom Klein. So I was skateboarding with Tom Klein, and I ate 2 of those Gold Rush chicken sandwiches at once, and I threw up.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Yeah, I have a body type for that. You don't.
Yeah, you can't overdo the Gold Rush, dude. You can't rush the rush.
Oh, man. Dude, this is amazing. But, like, seriously, we're gonna have Jim DeHaven on at some point soon. We're gonna talk about movies and adventures and just fucking crazy shit. You definitely get mentioned as well as Holacek. I gotta remember to call him Holacek because he fucking like pulled a Prince and changed his name, or altered the pronunciation, I should say.
What would be the new pronunciation of DeHaven if you changed it?
You can't. It's in stone. It's what it is.
You don't want to be DeHaven or something like that. I don't know.
No, never.
DeHaven.
Who was it that used to think your name? We were calling you the Haven. Who the fuck was that?
Everybody.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there's people like, why you call him the Haven? It's like, no, his last name is DeHaven.
I mean, I might want to change now to the Haven.
Yeah, man. It sounds like a good pro wrestler name.
DeHaven. D.
Oh,
no,
man.
I'm totally in for whenever to talk movies and everything. I mean, I have tons of shit to watch and talk about. So
yeah, we'll just have you on. We'll just fucking shoot the shit. But awesome, dude. So for just reference, we all, DeHaven, Nick, and I, we all went to high school together. We were in graphic arts. This ties back to the Live and Die at L.A. episode that we just did because we were talking about when we had the Secret Service come visit us every year. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, no, I do. Counterfeit money.
Yeah.
Everything, yeah.
I mentioned that when I introed the film. I was just like, yeah, we used to have the Secret Service come and tell us not to counterfeit. And then we saw the Live and Die in L.A. and we're like, yeah, we're going to start counterfeiting. I don't think any of us did that I know of.
No, we were terrible printers.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, those A.B. Dick printing presses were fucking not good.
No.
But all right, man. I know you just got off work and want to decompress, but we just after you sent us Portal rules. Actually, that's the thing I was gonna say. Portal was this guy. I don't want to say his real name, but there was a guy called Portal. Well, his name wasn't Portal. He had made a comic book character that just happened to look like Green Lantern that he called Portal. And like he drew it one time, and we kept the image. I don't know who has it.
Yeah, I don't.
Yes, someone has the fucking original Portal drawing. We kept it, and I think
Smithsonian.
Oh, it's Smithsonian. Dude, everyone, this is Jim DeHaven. It's good to talk to you. Let's talk more and not just for random
absolutely, dude.
Yeah, not just for random Portal stuff, but we'll have you back on the pod. But all right.
Yeah, because last time you were here, dude, and when you left, I felt bad. Like Jim's been my friend for 30 years, and I miss talking to him.
Yeah, we
and
need
Nick too.
Yeah, well, yeah, shit. We'll just make it work. I mean, coming up, we're gonna go hang out with Jason Worm because he lives out here now.
Wow.
Dude, I like just name dropping people that have no context to anyone but us.
I like it too.
But yeah, all right, man. Good talking to you.
Absolutely. I'll talk to you later.
All right, see you, man.
See ya.
Jim DeHaven, everyone. I'm kind of glad he called because we have mentioned, or I called him, or he texted us. So we have talked about him probably since the first podcast at this point.
Oh, definitely. We always got to bring that fool up.
Yeah, so it's like, you got to hear it. I know we talked about him on when Bruce was on for the Bigfoot episode. So yeah, we'll definitely have. We were leaning away not doing guests, but like, fuck it, we got to do Jim DeHaven.
Yeah, for sure.
That's iconic. Maybe not to everyone. It's like, why? No, it's iconic. You don't understand. Jim DeHaven has no social media other than Letterboxd.
Yeah, respect.
And we're not even going to tell you what his Letterboxd name is.
The Haven.
The Haven. Anyway, so with that kind of segue, welcome back, which we didn't really do here, but all right, Nick, what have you been reading, watching, and or listening to?
All right, I haven't really been reading anything, but Cormac McCarthy just died. And the only thing I've read of his is The Road. And it's one of the only books that I sat down to read and didn't get up until I was just done reading the whole fucking book, which is kind of crazy.
I remember you telling me that because
Yeah.
you loaned me your copy of The Road and said, read it, and I did pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, just blazed right through it, man. But I've always wanted to read Blood Meridian and shit like that. So I don't know. Now that you're dead, here I go. I'm gonna dive in. But let's see, listening or watch. Man, I actually haven't watched a single fucking thing. My life has been so busy. I've been going to fucking weddings. I've been projecting. I've been fucking. I say it like it's multiple weddings. I don't know. It's been a crazy 2 weeks for me. And it's to the extent of where it sucks. I just everyone just fucking leave me the fuck alone and let me just sit on my couch and read and watch and listen to things.
Yeah.
But I have been listening to things because I've been out driving around, and I've been listening to the new. It actually came out today. It's the new record by Heavenward. It's his first full length called Pyrophonics. I've had it for a little while now. But like I say, today it came out officially.
Okay.
And the fucking I know you've heard a bunch of the songs off of it already. All the singles that have been dropping are all awesome. But it's fucking great, dude. So yeah, check that shit out. It's kind of I don't know, how would you describe it?
I mean, based on the singles, there was kind of they definitely had the one song that was very, very Catherine Wheel, very, very on point Catherine Wheel. And then the next single was a little different. The last single, I guess, because I didn't realize the full length that come out. That last single was definitely kind of a little Deftones-y.
Yeah.
And I was and we talked a little bit about it when that single came out. And I was like, I kind of wonder how it's all going to work in context. And from what you're sounding, it just all
it's great.
It all blends. It's there's bands that kind of want to jump around and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and sometimes it's just too much. It's it sounds like a comp rather than a band. And I kind of got the feeling there's some different influences, but I kind of wondered, and I kind of got the feeling it was all going to flow together, and sounds like it did.
Totally. Yeah, man. Also just been ever since we saw No Pressure, I've just been listening to those two No Pressure records, and then the singer's other band stories so far, the What You Don't See and Proper Dose mostly. Man, those records kick ass, but just more fucking emo pop punk,
Yeah.
I guess you could say. And then I've also just been listening to the greatest punk record of all time on repeat, which is of course Nevermind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols. And no,
I know you're being
I'm being
serious because you've said that before.
You're crazy. I I could name other records that I probably actually either like more or, it's like the first 2 Damned records or the first 3 rather. Or
I get it and I get why. There's always in the back of my mind that they were kind of like constructed as a boy band. But with that said,
you can't deny those songs and you can't deny they're perfect songs.
No, I think they're good songs. I don't revisit.
Yeah.
I think I have a bias against like straight up British punk. No, what I'm saying about it is like, it's like, I like the Damned, but I was never big in the Clash, never big in the Sex Pistols. Trying to think of some I like the post punk bands better.
I don't just like every few years I'll think like, man, I haven't heard Nevermind the Bollocks in a while, and I'll throw it on and then I just will listen to it for months straight. It's just a perfect record. But fucking that's about it, man. Like I say, I've been so damn busy that it's like just driving around, listening to music there. So, what you been up to? What have you been listening to?
Well, I haven't read shit. Why pretend? My girlfriend's giving me 2 books that I have sitting on my bedside, TV tray or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna read tonight, and then I just watch shit on YouTube. So, for watch, for some reason, I've gone off the hip hop deep dive of things, and now I've moved on to kind of 80s and 90s pro wrestling, which was probably the last time I watched it. At no point will I try to watch current wrestling, just flat out. It just doesn't work for me. But I still have a nostalgia, probably because the way you and I grew up, that that era is that's my shit. But before I kind of talk about that stuff, I actually watched a documentary, and it was actually because of No Pressure covering the Green Day song. And it was on YouTube, and it came up. It was a full movie you watch free with ads. It was Turn Around, the story of the East Bay, which is, East Bay was a big punk mecca, Lookout Records and Rancid and Green Day and Crimpshine and all kinds of bands. And I guess I knew it existed, but I hadn't seen it. And it was pretty good. I think you told me you saw it in the theater, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw it at the ArcLight.
And it had a lot of talking. It had a lot of the right talking heads.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't just biased to one thing. It was because of the way that Berkeley, East Bay, Gilman Street scene worked, it was a variety of different bands. You had things like Neurosis playing with Operation Ivy and that kind of stuff. So it was kind of cool. I feel like it's 2.5 hours, and I kind of wanted it to be a little bit longer, but maybe it didn't need to be.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining. It definitely, it was nice to talk about Crimpshrine, which I think is one of the unsung heroes of punk records or punk in general, at least from that era.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought they were going to talk about Spaz and some of the power violence bands, because they definitely did talk about Sticky, which Chris Dodge was in.
Yeah.
And they definitely put Chris Dodge, Sticky, and Spaz. So it's maybe they'll just talk about it because Fiesta Grande was a big thing that happened at Gilman Street. But they kind of probably ended it at the right spot, which was when Green Day and Jawbreaker and bands like that got fucking huge and signed to major labels and stuff like that. Yeah. And it's kind of weird because you think about it, in that period of 90s, selling out was a really bad thing. And now I don't think it carries that same kind of...
No, not at all.
I don't think it mattered. But that used to be you can't listen to this band, it's sold out. And in fact, Green Day, they sold what 10, 20 million records for Dookie? Yeah. They got fucking huge. For the rest of the stuff I've been watching, it's been a lot of wrestling stuff. I don't know how I went down this black hole, how it went from hip hop to pro wrestling, but it's just YouTube algorithm. But there's a new season of Dark Side of the Ring, which love that shit. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know. It actually made me go back and rewatch some of the previous seasons, because it's I got kind of the itch, because it's there's only a couple episodes out now. It's I kind of want to watch more. So I've been watching that. Also went back and watched some wrestling documentaries I kind of missed. Well, one I knew about. The other one I didn't know existed, but it came out I guess last year. The first one was The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, which, if you know about Jake, as a kid, Jake the Snake was one of my favorite wrestlers. Mm-hmm. It's like the wrestlers I liked from that WWF era. It's like Jake the Snake, you had Demolition, even though they were kind of the bootleg Road Warriors kind of thing. But like, you know, Jake was like, I don't know. He was just like, he was the one guy that was like completely cerebral in a ring and like fucked you up without actually doing a move, and they hit you with a DDT. I think like outside of Ric Flair, there might probably be more DDT references and Jake the Snake references in hip hop than any other wrestler, just because of like how cold and calculated it was. And like, I mean, there was another documentary that I actually saw in the theater. I forget what it was called, but it was like, it was the one where they had like, you know, Jake had smoked crack and was like really hard up. It was what the hell's that name of that documentary? I think I might even saw it with you in the theater.
Yeah, I definitely saw it.
Was it like Beyond the Mat? Was that what it's called? I think it's Beyond the Mat is what I'm thinking of. So like, but this documentary is about like basically Diamond Dallas Page, who famous, he got big during like the WCW NWO run. Like he basically, I don't know if he still wrestles, but I think he's pretty much retired, and he started like doing yoga and mental wellness stuff. And he was helping out a lot of the people that like helped him out. So he like
DDP yoga.
Yeah. And it's like, I actually think it's kind of like one of the cooler pivots that for anyone to do. And like the documentary is about him helping Jake get like in shape and get better.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they show when Jake slips and that kind of stuff. They also bring in Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, comes out too. So it's like, I don't know, it's like it brought a tear to my eye, because it's like people you saw as a kid who were like really in a bad way. And like if you watch Dark Side of the Ring, you know a lot of people that got into drugs and booze and that kind of stuff did not end well for professional wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
So it was kind of nice at the end of that story, like both those dudes kind of like got better, especially Jake. And like, you know, got to be in the WWF Hall of Fame or WWE or wherever the fuck they call it now. The other documentary I watched, and I guess it came out last year, is called Woo! Becoming Ric Flair. Sorry I had to do the woo like that. I don't know how many O's that. Like that's that. Woo is the fucking first word in the documentary, or the first word of the title. So it's a documentary about Ric Flair, and like, goddamn, it's like there's a reason why I know everyone's gonna say Hulk Hogan. I think Ric Flair might be like the greatest wrestling personality ever.
He's great.
I mean, the dude fucking like, in a way, he's like rap culture now.
Yeah.
Think about how many songs, like, you know, just outside of Griselda, who like, you know, have a lot of pro wrestling stuff. Like, think how many songs have like references or sound clips from Ric Flair and all that.
I mean, he was in rap videos.
Yeah.
You know?
Like it, but like the story of him is that like he was living that lifestyle. Like he was spending money. He like in that documentary, he's like, yeah, he's like, I bought 4 tailored suits a week because I couldn't wear the same shit on TV.
Yeah.
And then he's just like got the drip, and he's like just drinking, partying. Like the fact that he like nearly died like 3 times, like not just like, ooh, I almost died, like in a plane crash, had his back broken, not gonna wrestle again, wrestled.
Yeah.
Got fucking struck by lightning, like hit his umbrella and then killed the guy behind him.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's insane. And then like he had organ failure, and lived.
Fuck.
And got better, and still fucking drinks and like parties and all that. I mean, it's just insane, because it's like, it's a dude that basically created a persona and like became the persona. Yeah. It's not like, you know, like Papa Shango or something. Like that guy eventually became the Godfather. I forget what his real name is, but like, you know, some people had gimmicks. It's not like, you know, Coco Beware is gonna always have the parrot with him or whatever. But Ric Flair became that guy and just never stopped being that guy.
Right.
But, I mean, next week I'll probably be on some other fucking deep dive.
Like, I wonder if Randy Savage would wake up in the morning and be like, ooh.
You know, the thing,
Elizabeth!
like, just fucking elbow dropping the mailman. Or, like, if he goes to a fucking coffee shop, he's doing that creamer bit. The cream always rises. And, like, you've seen that promo with him.
Yeah.
God damn. Fucking cocaine must have been wild in the 80s. But yeah, I by the time we record another podcast, I'll probably be on some other fucking deep dive for no reason other than I'm procrastinating. I have fucking articles for the Cinematic Void zine I gotta finish. I got like,
hell yeah, dude.
I gotta fix the Cinemadness movie, because one of the movies I put in there, I had the movie sit up, I had it all ready to go. It's like, I got it done early, and like I guess like one of the movies got a copyright, or some got a copyright and the video got blocked, so I gotta like redo it and re-upload it.
Mhm.
So I'll be doing that after this. I don't know. I've been procrastinating and I've just been watching like dumb shit.
Cool.
And I feel like I need to watch stuff that's more involved and more.
Sometimes you got to take a break from watching 30 Giallos a month so you can watch a couple of wrestling documentaries.
Well, I mean,
it's all good.
I'll tell you what, I've actually started discipline. I will not watch a Giallo outside of January now. I mean, that's not true. I have, but like, it's like they're, you know, for years I would watch them. I would watch a lot of them and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm trying to watch other things.
You've pretty much seen them all at this point.
There's a few that I haven't, but like, eventually I will. Eventually I'll see every Giallo ever made.
Yeah.
From like 1966 to like.
You should make
whatever.
that letterbox list of every Giallo ever made.
There's people who made them, but then they also include the Neo Giallo, and then like, you know, because
strictly adhere to the rules, man.
Yeah. Even those like Giallo book guides that list all the Giallo, like there's things not in there because they're like, well, it was produced in like Spain was the main producer, even though it was the Italian director. It's not a Giallo, like that kind of stuff. Like, it's kind of hard because like it depending on where the money comes from, you know, because a lot of Giallo films made in the 70s were like they were Italian produced, but there was also money from Spain and Germany in there, and depending on like where the most money was, is kind of what there's lots of arbitrary stuff. All I know is Suspiria's not a Giallo. There we go. I guess for listen, Outer Heaven dropped a new song this morning, which is, it's on their forthcoming album. It's called Liquefied Mind. Fucking rager.
Right on.
Solid. I'm stoked for this record. So
band rules.
Yeah. Also been listening to the Too Quick to Forgive single by the band Balance and Composure. Really good. The first song on the EP, I just love it. I like the other song too, but the first one is just like the one that's been grabbing me.
Awesome.
Throw on some different stuff I hadn't listened to in a while. Gasp, Drone Triller of Zoo People that came out originally on Slap-a-Ham Records.
Mhm.
Going back to Chris Dodge and Spaz and all that Bay Area fucking, you know, music. It's like a power violence record, but it's also meet like free jazz and psychedelic and like noise loops and stuff like that. It's probably one of the most adventurous records that came out, you know, from that genre and that label.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I like it a lot. I don't think it did well when it came out, but I feel like it's probably one of those like cult favorites now.
Right. Like, well, it came out existing in a scene that it didn't belong in, kind of. You know what I mean? Like it was kind of, I don't know. Now, being in California, maybe it was a totally different thing, seeing Gasp live and stuff like that. But but it coming out on Slap-a-Ham, it's just like, well, it's not fast.
Well, I mean, but that was at that point they put out a Burning Witch record and like
yeah, true.
And
but I think maybe the blur. I don't know that not to do a deep dive on
Slap-a-Ham.
Yeah, right. But you know, I could get into it.
Actually, why not?
Because I got to leave in 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
I'll talk a lot longer than that about you know.
We'll talk about Slap-a-Ham on the next episode somehow. We'll segue. This has been a wild episode. We've had 2 phone-ins and like for an episode that was supposed to be like this will be short. This is probably fucking longer than a regular episode. We'll just move off there. Listen to Destination by the band Heroin, 90s hardcore band, which came up incidentally because recently I put the last Inspite record, the only one that I think we're in agreement that people should actually hear, which was 11-song EP called Only the Dead. I put it up there, and like I guess part of the Spotify algorithm, they put Heroin on there, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah,
I haven't listened to Heroin in like, I couldn't tell you when, so I listened to that record, and I was like, cool.
Guy in Heroin fixed my last guitar amp.
Oh, shout out to him.
Yeah, Andy.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was in Angel Hair. He was in one of those.
Yeah.
I think it was Heroin. Fuck.
Whatever. We'll just say Heroin, just to make it make sense. And because I watched that Turn Around East Bay like documentary, I started listening to a lot of Neurosis stuff. Neurosis has a very broad career. Obviously, Scott Kelly is not a very good person. But, like, you know, I'd still like those Neurosis records. But that wraps up this episode of the Cinematic Void Podcast. Special shout out to Leslie and Jim DeHaven for calling in, or us calling them and adding them in. We're going to wrap things up. We'll be talking about boutique Blu-rays coming up on the next episode. So keep your ears open for that. Nick's got to go meet someone for lunch, so until next time, see you in the void.